We're making this video today because Marvel Strike Force is in trouble. There's a lot going on in the game, a lot of negativity, and understand why. We recognize, for example, Rage Gaming put a video out recently that the player base is declining. People are leaving the game. Boylan has been making content continually saying that there's nothing to do. And in many ways, he's right. There's a lot of complaints about the economy in the game and what we're able to do. Some of that is crybaby and some of it's real. All these things are not the core problem in themselves. The core problem in the game, the thing that's foundationally causing everything else, the thing that actually needs to be fixed, is Marvel Strike Force does not have an identity. Right? Maybe it's even in the title of the video that Marvel Strike Force is having an identity crisis. What do we mean by that? Well, we're going to talk about three things that are damaging the game. And if those three things are not fixed, the game probably goes away. This isn't something that's revelational. It's something that people know, people understand, and it's something that means it can be fixed. For example, number one, what kind of a game is this? If you were to ask, what kind of a game is this? What would people most likely say? Well, they say that Marvel Strike Force is a resource management game. Now, just going to be honest with you, that's ridiculous, and that information is false. Why can we say that? Well, many of us have played resource management games. There's a lot of great resource management games out there, right? So down here, I don't know if you can see on the bottom, I have the Everdell series. Everdell is a resource management game. It's a tabletop game, but the concept is the same. You start out the game with a person. You put that person on a resource. You get to have one of those resources. You have a deck of cards in your hands and you're trying to build some of the buildings to upgrade your city. It's a city builder. Obviously, the better ones you don't have the resources for in the beginning. You got to buy some of the littler ones that will help you ramp up. Turn number two, you get a second worker. You put them on two resources. You get and you build something from your hand. And that's how the game continues for like 5 rounds. And at the end, whoever has the biggest city that's able to do the most stuff wins. That's a resource management game. The whole game is about acquiring resources and then building your machine. One of the most popular resource management games in history is the franchise Civilization. Perhaps you've played it. We've probably all played it. Civilization is a resource management game. You start out the game with a guy, a settler who's going to become a city, and probably some type of a soldier. And you're on the map and you're just kind of looking for, hey, where can I set the city down to get the most resources? Because every turn that goes by, you collect resources. You need food. You get enough food, you can make more people. That expands your city, the borders of your city, anything inside that, you get those resources. And so every turn, you're trying to get building materials, things that can help you to make money so you can build more buildings, build more specialized people, branch off into the sciences. There's all types of different ways to play that game. You're slowly expanding your city. You get more people. You can put down new cities in an attempt to take over the world in some way, shape, or form. That's a resource management game. It's very popular. It's a good game. It's a great game. Does that sound in any way, shape, or form like Marvel Strike Force? No. It's not the same kind of game. Marvel Strike Force is not a resource management game. What kind of game is it then? Well, you sit down, you got characters, 5 of them probably, and you're trying to dictate the flow of combat using your character's abilities, right? You got different abilities. You're trying to keep things under control, get buffs, put debuffs. You're trying to control the flow of combat with your characters that take turns. This is a turn-based strategy game, a turn-based tactical role-playing game, something of that nature. These games are not new. These games are not new. Perhaps you're like me. I'm almost 50 years old. I've been playing games for quite some time. On the original Nintendo Entertainment System, I sat down and I played Final Fantasy, the original Final Fantasy game. It was amazing. You know what you got to do in that game? You got to make some characters and you put them on this side and they took turns and you fought against whatever was on this side. And you used the abilities that you had and the tactics and the strategy to keep yourself in the game. There's tons of games like that. Final Fantasy has grown to be a wildly popular franchise. It's the same game over and over and over again at its core, right? The Ultima series at that time, same game. Dragon Warrior, the Dragon Quest series. There's tons of games that fall into that genre. Right now, you see, we've been dabbling in the Monster Hunter franchise on the channel. So right now, I want you to do this. Right now, there's a game, Monster Hunter Stories 3, the third iteration in the franchise because people like the game. It's a turn-based game. Monster Hunter Stories 3, get the demo. It's a demo out right now. The full game isn't out. It's not a live service game. It's a standalone game. But just go try it. You got guys on this side of the board that you take turns, use the strategy to control whatever's on the other side of the board and advance the story. You tell me. I dare you to go try it. It's out on console. It's out on PC. It's just the demo. It's not going to cost you any money. You tell me if that is not the kind of game you expect when you're playing Marvel Strike Force. When you first signed up to play Marvel Strike Force, when you first started playing it, that's the kind of game you were playing. And then somehow, in between then and now to the end game, you start playing a different thing. You start playing a resource management game. That's not what people signed up for. The game is having an identity crisis. I know things are not apples to apple. This is a mobile game, but it doesn't matter. A good formula works wherever. It doesn't matter if it's on a tabletop, doesn't matter if it's on this computer, doesn't matter if it's on your phone. If you build it, they will come, right? And I know that you have developers there that are gamers, that understand gaming, that know how to have fun. I know because I talk to them and I listen to the ideas they have. They know how to play a game. They know how to make a game. So that means somewhere in between the creative phase and the money-making phase, right? The bean counters over here are trying to monetize the system, which I get. You have to have it. It's a live service game. There needs to be some way to make money. But there's something wrong. Something is going wrong between here and here. And since your game is shrinking, since people aren't playing, it's going to go away. So you have to humble yourself as the bean counter for a minute. You got to humble yourself and get out of the way. Let these guys do what they do. They make games. Let them do it. There's different ways to monetize the systems. There's tons of other games that came before you that have systems to monetize. There's tons of live service role-playing type games that have monetization systems built in that you can just copy and paste. Get out of the way and let these guys do what they got to do. That brings us then to the second phase of our identity crisis. And it kind of still has to do with that executive level. They don't know who they are. You don't know what it is that you stand for. And I don't mean this to be disrespectful. Just hear me out by way of illustration once again. So again, we've been dabbling in the Monster Hunter series. So we're going to go back there for a moment. A couple months ago, they had in the current Monster Hunter game, Monster Hunter Wilds, they had a boss monster in Elder Dragon, which is kind of like the dark dimension of that game. Gogmazios. So Gogmazios, boom, they were talking about him, right? They're hyping him up. They actually brought him back. I guess he was in like the PlayStation 2 edition of the game or something like that. So yeah, he's back. Modern day spin, creativity, boom, he shows up and it's a great matchup. I follow this guy named Dear Gamer, and I'm watching him play it with his team while I'm doing my Console Crucible, watching him play. It's a cinematic event. There's all types of stuff going on, all types of way to interact with a monster, with the environment. There's all types of stuff going on. It took about 45 minutes and they got the win, right? So they got the win. So if you're a casual player to the game, you hear about this new guy coming out, you want to test your metal, you come back, right? You come back, you try it out a little bit, you figure out how to win, and maybe that's enough. Maybe that's enough, but that's okay. You want touches like that. You want people to be able to come back and touch the game for things like that. That's okay if that's all they want to stay around for. But then with the people that play regularly, the people who are engaged will say, reality sets in. What do we mean by that? Well, again, it took them 45 minutes to get through the matchup. How long do you have as a player? Like if playing video games is a hobby you have, how much time do you have to engage in your hobby in a day? An hour? Maybe two as a responsible adult? Maybe. That means 1 or 2 runs at that creature. And you need to keep the way that game works is just like any other game. Now he's the top end. You need to keep farming him to get pieces, to get gear, to be ready for whoever comes next. And people get upset because they don't want to be fighting this guy for 45 minutes. They're asking, hey, you got to nerf this thing. You got to turn the difficulty down. And you know what Capcom does? Because they know who they are. When they're talking about the Monster Hunter franchise, they know who they are. So do you know what they say? They lean in and they say, get good. Figure it out. Now, I get it. People can be upset about that. They can be angry. But the reality is they know what they made. It's hard, but it's beatable. People just need to figure it out, and it takes time. So people get upset. They get enraged. But what happens? They start talking. They start strategizing, right? Tips and tricks start showing up on the internet. Well, hey, he spits out these blobs of like goo, kind of like tar. And, I got these boots and I got this other thing that I could just put on my weapon and give myself the power to walk through water and tar like it was dry land. Maybe that's a helpful tip. Maybe it isn't. There's a lot of different play styles in that game. The game kind of told him, hey, he kind of vacillates between 2 different states. And so then he's weak sometimes against fire. And then over here, if he's on this state, he's weak against the dragon element. So you should maybe bring 2 different weapons. They allow you to switch. Not a feature that a lot of people took advantage of, but they're like, well, hey, I got 2 different weapons. And they learn, well, yeah, he's in this state, he's in that state. And maybe they switch to take advantage of the weaknesses. Maybe it works for them. Maybe it doesn't. Just found out yesterday, Elder Dragons in that game, they have a physiology. They got certain traits, physical traits, like they have 6 appendages for the most part. So Gogmazios is kind of like Godzilla. So he kind of like stands up, he drops down on his front arms, blows fire like a dragon. He's got these wings, but on the end of his wings, he's got these little arms like a bat. Boom, when he puts those on the ground, you attack his wing arms, you do extra damage. I don't know if it's critical hits, but it's clearly a weak point. The numbers look different. It's clearly a weak point on the monster. So what do people do? Well, they don't have like healers and tanks in the same way in that game, but you can kind of build that into the system a little bit. You can put stuff on some of your things and say, hey, to the monster, look at me. Look, it's kind of like tanking. Look at me. I'm over here. So people got that strategy for those type of people. He drops down, puts the wing arms on the ground. That person's like, hey, look at me. Look at me. And the rest of the team just keeps hitting that weak spot. Maybe it works out. Maybe it doesn't. The point is there's lots of talk, discussion, the strategy. And what happened? Same guy, he posts videos later on, about a month or 2 later, 15 minutes. So he goes from a 45-minute run. I can maybe do it once or twice, 15 minutes. In that same 2-hour period, now we can run it 8 times. Much better chance to get gear drops. And there's people that are professionals, right? There's the ultra pros of any game. There's guys speed running that content at 5 minutes. What's the point? Scope, you have to do the same thing. When you make content and you know it's good, you can't back it down. The challenge has to be there. There has to be difficult content. And when people play it for the first time, they're going to complain. And they're going to say, turn it down. This isn't fair. This isn't right. Well, how come there's an endgame Thanos? Why is there 2 endgame? That's just cheese. No, it's the game. Lean into that. Don't give us people who got extra speed bar that they just get to come in and take turns out of order. That's not fair. That's not what we want. You can't beat a guy then have a guy drop in and that guy gets to take 6 turns. That's not what we're saying. But it's okay to lean in to the puzzle. You know what teams are good, what teams are strong. You know things that people are using. You can mix and match and make matchups that present some challenge. It might take a time or two. It may take a team or two. That's the point. That's what you want. You want people to be able to dig in this type of game and use more of their roster. That's why people are playing the game. You want people to be like, okay, well, I got these characters. Maybe they're better in the raids. Maybe there's some thing you can do with that. Or hey, this character does this. This character buffs that character. Or this team is resilient. I can get through the first half, and then I'll bring the second team who's also resilient and get to the second half. You want that. That's what's attractive about this game. I guarantee you. That's what attracted people to this game. You have the Marvel property, and there's 300 characters in the game. It's great. The artwork is great. The character animations are great. The depth of characters are great. The character abilities, the kits, all the things that they do, the nuances, the stuff you can do that makes people think about how to beat this puzzle is great. Lean into it. Lean into it. And if people complain, don't back down. We just got to figure it out. And they'll do it, especially if they have something to push for. People will complain. The initial wave of complaining is just frustration because they know they can do it. They know they can do it. They just don't know how. The other wave of complaining is just people who complain all the time. And those people are not good customers. You don't have to listen to them. You should not listen to them. If that person is a spender, I'm going to say it right here. You can reply in the comments. You'll be wrong. If that person is a spender and they just feel that they're supposed to bypass everything because they throw money on the table, they're playing the wrong game. I'm not saying that that shouldn't be allowed. That's not what I'm saying. But there's other kinds of spenders, right? There's casuals who just log in, play a little bit, that's fine, and they dip out. There's spenders who log in, throw a little money at it, and dip out. You don't build a game around that person. I don't care if they're spending money. That they're not the customer that you want. Right? There's that customer that comes into the store. They came in at Christmas time and they bought trees and decorations and light. They took them home, they put them up, then they put them back in a box and brought them back to the store and said, well, this stuff didn't work. I want my money back. If you don't give me my money back, I'm never coming in this store again. That person's not a good customer. You don't have to honor that. There's spenders who play the game same way as I play the game, same way play the game as a lot of strategists. They just spend more money. That's your target audience. That's who you want because they're gamers and they're going to tell other gamers to come play this game. That's what people do. People of like mind, people that are into the same kind of thing, they're going to tell other people, hey, you want a strategy game, but it's got the Marvel characters on it? I got you. Got you. That's what you want. Lean into it. How could we do that? Problem number 3 of our identity crisis. We need the content that reflects the things that the community is actually asking for. There's a lot of talk, there's a lot of comments, and I know it's hard because you got to filter through the nonsense. There's people that just complain. You can't listen to that, just like we said. When was the community the most engaged in the game? It's whenever there's something meaty, something juicy, something that has to use your mind. You can use various teams, various characters to get through. Dark dimensions are usually the ultimate of that. People love the dark dimensions. So let me just, for a minute, the Xavier saga. I believe it was Mobile Gamer. He has Johnny on to talk about the Xavier saga. He just got done. He just finished. You can kind of hear him, kind of like the nervousness in his voice, in Johnny's voice. I don't know Johnny personally. I've talked to him a couple of times. He's not a nervous talker. So what was that you heard in his voice? That was the excitement. That was the excitement of finishing the content, right? He was kind of racing, right? He's racing. Was he first? He was first. And he's telling us about, I use this team, I use that team. And then like, I had these characters that I picked. And then I got to this point and I didn't know, right? I was like, I think maybe I need one more character. Thought about it. He went back, got this particular character. Now he's able to get through the thing that was holding him back. And he kept going till he got to the end. I thought that's what I heard, at least. That was the emotional response that I heard. He was into the game. There's nothing wrong. That's what you want from the community. You want to be into the game, to be engaged with the content, but there needs to be strategic and difficult content for people to do that. We've had that in the past. How do people react to these scourges? How did they react to the Thunderstrike raid? How did they react to the negative zone? Now we're talking about the one that was difficult. Dorky Dad brought that up today. Do you remember the vigilante negative zone? That was almost perfect. People can complain all they want to. It was almost perfect. What was the only drawback? The only drawback was it was built into the daily system, in the sense that part of our daily progression, you had to do it. That means if I sat down the night before, really got into it, 3 hours, strategized, got all the way through it, I had to go back and do it again the next day. And I had to go back and do it again the next day. And I had to go back and do it again the next day. You can't have it like that. Not as part of the daily progression, right? Not that I have to engage with it every day. That was the downfall of that content. The content was great. Lean into that. What about during the pandemic? Okay, let's just go ahead and address the elephant in the room. Why did people play this game during the pandemic? Well, duh, Gideon, we didn't have anything else to do. We had to stay home. Well, that's true, but it's not true. There's a lot of different games that could have been played, a lot. So why did people play this one? Why did this one attract people's attention? Because that was some of the golden time of the game. The content was challenging, right? You ask people, they complained all the way through the Age of Apocalypse, but when they did it, they were having fun. The process it feels painful, but when you succeed, that's where the fun is. But you got to go through the process. That's actually where the fun is happening. We don't realize it at the time, but that's where the fun is happening. Do a quick search. When did you right? When you look at YouTube, this is just looking at YouTube. When do people search for Marvel Strike Force? It's when there's challenging content. The different scourges, Blastar Scourge, Thunderstrike Raid, Horsemen of the Apocalypse, scourges, Dark Dimensions, right? That's the kind of thing that you started. That's the content that most people expect. The game starts out as a turn-based strategy game, then it turns into something else. This is what people signed up for. Lean into it. How could this be done? We're just going to give another illustration. Perhaps, right, we've done a lot of those on this channel. If you have an idea, as a viewer, if you have an idea of something that could be done, a type of game or style of gameplay that we could use, mention it. Mention it. If there's another game that you play that has, again, this interesting play style, something that keeps you engaged, mention it. Something that you remember from your childhood, mention it. Mention it. This is just an illustration of something we could do. Take the existing content and you intentionally make it for variations of complexity and competition. Okay. We have player versus player content. We could definitely use some more of that. But a lot of people want to play the player versus environment. A lot of people want that. How could you do it? Well, let's just take the champion event that's going on right now. Okay. Champion showcase. What if we intentionally build that on different levels? A lot of role-playing games have those different levels. There's a story mode, and then there's levels above that with increased challenge, more rewards. So what if we did that as kind of the baseline for some of our content? So you play through the champions showcase. That's the story mode. You're paying attention to the nodes, how they work. You're getting taught how the characters work. There's a story involved. You're paying attention to it. It's good. Once you complete that, that opens up the next level, the challenge mode, because you need to challenge the players. The challenge mode. How would that differ? Well, we're going to use our own roster now instead of the ones that were given to us. So a lot of us on the free to play side, obviously, we're not going to have our champions up and running. It's going to be difficult to make our way through, but maybe there's an incentive to kind of do that, right? There should be some kind of reward. Maybe as we go through the different nodes, we're able to farm, let's say, gear tier 20 orb fragments, right? When I build up a team now on the free to play side, I can usually get 3 of the team members to gear tier 20, and I got 2 left over. Maybe make me work for it. It's fine. Maybe try my best to earn it. We're putting a time limit of about 2 weeks on that portion. Again, this is just make believe stuff for illustration purposes. We're putting about 2 weeks on that portion. Okay. I'm going to try to get to the end. And what's going to be different in the challenge mode is there going to be a couple different extra nodes that weren't in the story version. That's going to be for competitive purposes, just the type of thing that we've seen in the past. Here's your body of characters over here. On this side, maybe 2 tanks drop down. And it's just so if I'm not paying attention, if I'm not actually playing the game, I'm just trying to do it all on auto, right? The targeting will take me over here against these tanks when they taunt. And even when the taunt goes away, I'm just going to be over here and I'm not going to be addressing the main body. It doesn't have to be difficult. It's just to help people to play the game and not necessarily get everything out on auto. We're also going to have a boss, right? You have bosses in the game now. So lean into that. Lean into the lore. Have a boss, right? Maybe you make it one of the champion characters. Oh no, Annihilus has this corrupted version of who else? Who's on the champion team? Braun. Oh, corrupted version of Braun, right? As the Herald of Annihilus or something of that nature. And you just give him a costume. He's a boss. He gets extra mechanics than the Braun that we have. He gets a costume. You beat him, you get the costume. Lean into the lore. It's kind of like Mobile Gamer said, sometimes those the important things. I was there. Yes, I remember the age of Annihilus. I got this costume. I got that costume. You don't got the Spider-Man. And oh man, bro, you should have been there. The Spider-Man Annihilus costume was awesome. Doesn't change the game. It's just something for people to shoot for. Then we go into the competitive phase. So maybe there's another 2 weeks of the competitive phase. What did that consist of? Well, we're going to use the Scourge system. You got the difficulty from 1 to 20. You kind of figure that difficulty 8 through 10 is where you believe the free-to-play endgame players are. And then somewhere between 10 to 12, 10 to 15. 15 being the absolute, like maxed out. You just max all the characters out. This is what it looks like. And then you have room after that to grow. Why? Because the community's always going to surprise us. The community's always going to figure out a way to do more, and that's what you want. But you want to make it so at some point it is indeed unbeatable. You're going to do it like a traditional Scourge. This top level, right? Certain amount of points. You add Scourges to increase those points. Don't use the ones that are there to help us win, right? Sometimes there's extra ones in there that are, again, designed to help us win, unless you're kind of promoting, which I get it. Maybe you're promoting a thing, right? Somebody, I'm gonna go with the Daring Warriors for a minute, since the Daring Warriors are a Crucible team. So maybe you have events like that where, boom, Crucible active, and you can use the last 3 Crucible teams. So it would be the Daring Warriors, Phoenix Force team, New Mutants. And if you want to throw in your legendaries from the chapters, Quasar, Blastar, Thunderstrike, something like that, if you want to throw that in there, I get it. It's a marketing tool. I understand it. Just don't let it get too crazy. Let the strategy prevail as well. If you get to level 10, right, you have to get to level 10, and maybe you can do that during, maybe we have those things open. You can do that during the regular, the grindy phase. If you get to difficulty 10, that opens up 11. You got to beat the boss on 11 to go to 12, and so on, right? So again, maybe we can allow that to happen during the grindy phase, and people can get ready, set, go. And it's going to be the highest difficulty you can do with the most Scourges for the most points. And you got to give something juicy away. It's got to be juicy. So maybe one maxed out character, the person who ranks number 1, maxed out character, right? So Night Thrasher, level 110, gear tier 21, purple ISO 5 diamonds. I get it. You don't want to give that away, but you got to do something. You got to let people work for something. There's one of those that somebody gets to have. The rest of the rewards will be different. You're not just giving out extra stuff. You got to come up with something juicy, but I get it. You don't have to just give out a bunch of free characters, but it does have to be juicy so that people will go for it. You have separation, free to play, right? Everybody, in theory, if they're a good strategist, can reach it, right? In theory, you want it to be like that. That we know everybody probably can't. The spender's most likely going to win, but you want it to still be within the grasp of a player who plays the game well. That's important for the game. You want that. And again, if someone complains because they're a whale and they think they should just get everything because they put some money on the table, they're not a good customer. That's not the kind of people you want in the game. You don't build the game around them. I'm sorry to say that, but I know that there's whales, krakens, people who spend that play the game like a strategist who also need their time to shine. They can't just be pay to win all the time. If by some chance people can get through difficulty 20, then you add another layer, insanity layer. Insanity layer. Maybe if people can get to that during that discovery phase, maybe they can start getting gear tier 21 drops. Little orbs, right? Orb fragments. I get it. You're not giving out fully crafted gear, but I mean, you want to give people a reason to try to push and try to farm. This is part of what keeps people engaged in games like this. This is not new. This is not something I made up. This is the carrot on a stick method that tons of games use. It might look different. Maybe you have a different idea how it could look, but this is something that can be done and will bring joy back to the game. For week number 4, you do the same type of thing, except now it's a time attack mode. It's a speed run. That's a different style of player as well. You're able to make that person happy also. Say, Gideon, we can't build all this stuff, right? The dev hours take time. I get it. I understand. I do. But you have this giant catalog of content that already exists. Why not find a way to bring some of that, like all of the old player showcases back and put some type of competitive spin on them? All the old raids that we don't play anymore. Ultimus 7. What happens if you bring Ultimus 7 back, or the Ultimus Dark Dimension, and you just dial up the difficulty to modern day standards? Add a boss, Annihilus. He broke Ultimus out, and Ultimus has become the Herald of Annihilus, right? Same type of thing. What happens if you just dial the difficulty up? Test it out. See what happens. Just give those guys modern stats. We got, newer abilities now, so you might have to give them some stats that are a little bit higher. But what would happen if you just turn the difficulty up to modern day stats? What would happen? Again, you got raids, dark dimensions, character showcases, towers, right? Pocket dimensions. There's all type of stuff that we've done. You got all type of content that you could just repurpose and use, turn the difficulty up. Just like we saw with Gogmazios, right? He was in the game 2 years ago on a PlayStation 2, and they brought him up to modern day. It's fine. People like that, especially if they have some challenge and reward with it. So my plea, once again, is for Marvel Strike Force to re-engage with their identity. You know what you are. Your turn-based strategy game. Lean into the strategy. Make difficult content. And when people complain, you're just going to have to get good. Figure it out. I'm sorry. The community will talk with each other, engage with each other. If they're going to hate you anyway, have them hate you for doing what you do best, right? They're going to complain anyway. So if they're going to complain, have them complain because you're doing what you do best. Make that good content. But for content to be good, it has to be engaging, and it has to be challenging. There has to be stakes. You have to be able to lose. And that's okay. That's just how games are played. If something doesn't change, the game's going to go away. The game's going to die. You literally have a license to print money. So take advantage of it. Take that Marvel intellectual property, use the strategy and tactics you already have. Take advantage of the gamers that you have sitting there who know how to get it done and make something beautiful, right? In the words of Mobile Gamer, use those individuals to help fix your game.